Hey everybody, welcome back to Marriage Monday. We are so glad that you're here with us again. I don't know why Ruth is laughing. Just said Marriage Monday. Ruth is full of joy.
I'm so full of it.
If you want to be full of, she is full of something. Ladies and gentlemen, Ruth Hennessee.
Okay.
We're still going over Not Your Parents' Marriage, even though there's nothing wrong with our parents' marriage. We love our parents' marriage. No, this is Jerome and Kelly Daly. I just want to make sure I pronounce it right. Always mess it up. And so, anyways, make sure you pick this book up. This is going to be the last week that we're going to go over this because there's several gold nuggets through here. I want all of you to pick it up. And then we're going to kind of start doing this through Marriage Mondays, picking up all these awesome tools, awesome books, and then letting... Why are you giving me this face?
I'm just watching you.
Okay, I have a booger on my nose. Anyway,
No, you don't.
want to make sure that everybody's able to have the same tools, same access to stuff that we're going through. Yeah. And then next week we're going to go a little bit different route. We're in the stages of preparing planning an interview. It's going to be really good. And so we'll see if we can get that in here next week. It's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. Because this week, we're going to kind of start the discussion on the latter part of this book. They kind of go into two different categories, talking about personalities. And it's really good because I love this type of subject where you're talking about characteristics of people, personalities of people, because the way that plays inside of a marriage is craziness, not craziness.
Well, it's just important.
Very important.
And I feel like a lot of times we're trying to get who we are. That's, I think, personality types are so, like the DISC tests. There's all these tests out there to find out who you are, to understand yourself, to understand your partner.
Right. And more about personalities. Like the DISC assessment you just mentioned.
Right. That's what I said.
Right.
Didn't I? Oh.
I think you did.
Okay.
Sorry. Just stole our thunder. Anyways,
we like to learn about ourselves. We like to learn how each other works. And I feel like that's just a more powerful tool when you even are talking about marriage.
Good.
And when you're working together as husband and wife, right?
Right.
And it goes into your communication style, your leadership style, your values, your motivation. It all reflects into who you are and out of what personality you are.
Right.
True?
Right.
Okay.
And so just to kind of start the subject here, because this is going to be a perfect segue into what we want to go into next week. But personality profiling or characteristics, all the stuff about your personalities as a person, this isn't something that's new. This has been around for generations, but it seems like, and they talk about this, excuse me, in the book, that Not Your Parents' Marriage, they're saying probably the past 30, 40 years, the past few decades, that there's been like this explosion of different assessments, different tools that you can find out more about your personalities. And so, and a lot of you have heard about the Enneagram. We've done the assessments, and so we're going to probably talk more about that next week. The reason I'm smiling is because I think, nailed it right before, like we knew what number we were before we even knew what number we were. And so we're going to talk more about that. It's really interesting. The reason that these are so important is because we can find out how people behave. And so you're not just the what number you are or what letter you are, like in the DISC assessment. It tells you a lot about your personalities, but it tells you about like your motivations, the reason you do things, some of the tendencies you have and some of the stuff. So it's really good. In my notes here, I was just saying like, it's really important when you're doing this with your spouse or with other people because, yes, we're talking about marriages. This is Marriage Monday, but this is really any relationship that you're in. You don't want to and got to be careful with this. How do I word it? You don't want to push somebody into a specific box. You don't want to say, okay, like with the DISC assessment. I love the DISC assessment. It's DISC, and each one dominant, influential, S. And then compliance. I can't remember what the S is. Oh my gosh. And I'm a high S. Steadiness. Good gosh. I'm so sorry. Well, I had a brain fart for a minute. Anyway.
Okay.
Can I say brain fart? I just said brain fart at Marriage Monday. And so, where was I going with that? You don't want to push somebody into a specific box. Like, I know that Ruth is a high D personality style, which is that dominant. And then we'll talk about the Enneagram next week. But with that dominant personality style, I can, if I'm not careful, start to say, okay, Ruth is always going to act like a high D, which is that dominant, which is usually the people that are outspoken, the ones that take charge, the ones that don't give a crap about other people. They just, I'm just joking. But they're like, okay, they're the task-driven people. They're usually not people-oriented. Oriented?
Mm-hmm. Orientated. I don't know.
The orient word. So they're usually not the people that are focused on people, but they're like, I got to do this task, I got to get this completed, come heck or high water, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get in there and get this thing done. If I push Ruth into that when we come to a spat or something like that, then usually I'm like, okay, this is just your high D personality style coming out, and you're this and you're this, and this is how you're going to treat me.
Focus on the negative instead of the positive is what he's trying to say.
Right? But this is, when we say that, this is a lot of the tendencies that we have. It's not something that you specifically have to go by. All right? So what we need to do is we need to understand that this is the way that we're wired. All right? And we need to stop trying to change one another. Right. And this is huge because,
I feel like it's a lot of the struggle in marriage, especially if you're trying to figure things out as a couple. It's that you want them to act like you, and so and you push them into being like, no, this is how you need to act.
You're pushing me. Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're real passionate. It's that D coming out of her. I'm telling you.
But it's like you want them, and you could be overpowering in that to push them into what you think needs to be done, or what your way of thinking, or that you're right kind of area.
And I think a great example of this is like, okay, so let's talk about Daniel and vacations. All right, so
let's talk about that.
Well, we're looking at the DISC assessment, and even in the book, Not Your Parents' Marriage, they talk about warriors and they talk about artists. And so you can look at the two difference there, and a lot of it has a lot to do with the DISC. It has a lot to do with the Enneagram. It just depends on which one you do. If you look at the DISC assessment, I know that I'm a high S, which is that steadiness. Okay, I got that down. And what this is I'm a systems person. I usually, if you literally wanted me to, I could eat the same thing every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I could have the same routine. I could go to the same job, do the same task at that job.
Or the same restaurant for
the same restaurant for weeks. No lie. On our date nights that we've been going, we would go to a local place here, and I order the same thing. And I think we'll take a bunny trail because we did veer off of that this week, Ruth, and tell the audience what happened.
I made a mistake.
She made a mistake. Thank you. So for all the high S's out there, don't veer off the path.
Fun.
Just keep going.
It was fun.
It was not fun, and we had a terrible time when we veered off.
You know what? We learned where not to eat, okay?
Well, we all know that the systems person, if you just trust me, stay with us, stay the course.
And what happened?
It was a terrible experience.
I know, but we made it right.
But we had an adventure.
We did have an adventure.
Anyway, okay, so back to, all right, so I'm the systems person. Right. Let's just use the vacation as an example. The problem with going on a vacation with Daniel and Ruth is that Daniel likes to plan every single thing before we do it. All right, so
we get our agenda before we leave.
Laminated. And so we know, hey, on this day we're going to go hiking. At the end of this day we're going to do da-da-da-da-da. And I have everything lined out. Ruth gets to vacation and she's like, well, what in the heck are the hot spots around here? Let's sit by the pool until we figure it out.
Great idea.
And so when Ruth and I are sitting by the pool, I'm sitting there thinking we are wasting precious minutes of this vacation that we could be doing, only God knows how many other things right now. Yes. Ruth is like sitting there sunbathing thinking, I wonder what we're going to eat tonight. I could have had that planned out. I could have told you what we're going to do 3 days ago, but you want me to... Anyway.
So we do his vacation and my vacation. We've learned to adjust.
We've learned to adjust to each other. The whole reason I went down that little rabbit hole right there is that sometimes we try and change one another. If I were trying to change Ruth, I'm trying to get her on the Daniel train where we're doing the vacation my way. We have the agenda. We have alarms set on our vacation because we're going to go skiing at a certain time, meet at a certain place. And you know what? We're going to have a heck of a lot of fun. Well, sometimes, systems persons, I know I love you all out there, you're my group, but sometimes it's not the best thing because then it puts stress on the other person of trying to do something that they're just not wired to do. God didn't make them that way. They didn't design them that way. And you know what? Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's good to go off the beaten path, except for our date night when we're going to a different place to eat, because that doesn't work. But sometimes, on a serious note, it's good to go with the other person because God has designed them that way.
Yes,
anyway, anything you want to say on that? All right, so understanding how someone is wired, and I put this in my notes here, that not just in marriage. This is very, very, very key. Okay, so understanding how somebody is wired, Enneagram, disc assessment, you take it, how somebody's personalities are coming out in whatever relationship you're in, it opens up the capacity for me to communicate and to move the kingdom, to advance the kingdom. I was waiting for the mic to drop. It's just amazing. And the reason for this is because it affects like the way that you parent. It affects the way that you minister and whatever that you're doing. What else? I mean, it helps the way that you make
do work.
love.
Do love.
I mean, every single area of your life, it affects that, and you're really advancing the kingdom. When you see how somebody is wired, when I take Ruth for who she is in the way that God designed her, in that wonderful D personality, or what type Enneagram are you? Or are we going to wait until next week?
We'll wait. Let's talk about that.
All right. I'll hold my number back too. I'll let y'all know. I'm sure a lot of you can already figure out what it is anyway. But when you take somebody for the way that God has designed them, then it opens up my capacity to see them in a whole new light. And that's amazing because, all right, so we stepped aside. We said it may not be just in marriage. When you look inside the context of marriage, when I take Ruth and I say, okay, this is the way that Christ has designed her and fashioned her and prepared her for a marriage inside of our covenant here, then it's like the sky's the limit for anything that we want to accomplish, really. Is there anything you want to say on that? Do you want to say anything?
Not on that part. I'm sorry.
All right, so it's not only how people look or interact with each other, but it's how we bear the kingdom and display God's glory. And that's the last thing I wanted to say on it is really what you're doing is you're displaying a side of God that maybe somebody has never seen before. When you take the things that God has wired you with, and you take the things even inside of your marriage relationship, and people are like, oh my gosh, I don't know how y'all do that. I don't know how you do this, or the Marriage Monday, or all the other stuff with kids. Well, we take all this, we take our strengths, put them together, and we're like, okay, this is the way that God has designed us, and we're actually bringing Him glory for the kingdom. So anyway.
How do you eat an elephant?
Do what?
How do you eat an elephant?
You eat an elephant one bite at a time. Anyway, what else do you want to say?
And our marriage is shaped by a number of forces. In addition to like the roles that we place with our personality, it's shaped by our history. That's a big one. The experiences we have had, the wounds of the past, heroes in our life, our home environment growing up, and you bring all of those influences into your marriage with you when you are. And so a lot of times there are hurts, there are wounds, there are things that you didn't know about until you get into this marriage, and you're like, and that person starts rubbing you the wrong way and bringing things up, and you're like, oh, okay. And so just understanding that all of those things are shaping who you are. They shape who your husband is. And as you continue to walk that out, you get to see that.
And you wouldn't want that any other way, because one, it would be boring, but two, it's like the way that you're sharpening one another.
Right.
Like inside of your marriage, like if Ruth and I just had everything planned out, then it really wouldn't work that way. Anyway.
And I feel like a lot of times we try to hide who we really are, or like put our negative, our things that aren't, like we always bring our best cards forward, and you always want your best cards to be shown for your husband, but that's not always the case. And we get to see the nitty gritty and the dirt on each other. And just I feel like that was the biggest for me, just being able to like let him see my flaws and accept those and love those. And I felt like the enemy had lied to me that he wouldn't accept me if I wasn't this or this, you know? And so I put it up there like I could be, and so then once the cards dropped and then I couldn't do what I had said I could do,
it's almost like a shame thing.
Having to deal with that. So.
What else you got?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, the growth moment for this week, what's really important to kind of prepare you for what we're going to go into next week with talking about the Enneagram and talking about different personalities, because we want to go deeper, is that we want you to actually meet with your community. Community is so stinking important. We've said this time and time again. I know at Palestine Church, like locally, what we have is the home churches, and with home churches, you can be inside somebody's. We have a guest on our show tonight. Hey, buddy.
Hi, did you wake up?
Yeah.
This is Marriage Monday with our children as
Real
well.
life.
Real life. Well, we're at the end of the show, so do you want to say anything to anybody?
No.
No? Okay. Well, we're doing a growth moment. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Is community really important?
Yeah.
Yes, community is really important. So we encourage you to get with your community this week.
That his phone.
That's
The camera.
the camera.
Oh.
Can you say hi?
No.
Okay.
Okay. At Palestine Church, we have the home churches. We encourage you to get inside of home church, get with a community. If you're not here, if you're hours away, we just want you to find your group of people, really what it looks like. Best picture would be Acts 2. Make sure that you're getting with your group of people and you're eating together, you're sharing life together, you're actually communing with one another, because you want to share these experiences and sharpen one another. So, anyway, is there anything else you want to say?
No, that's it.
AJ, do you want to say bye to everyone?
Can you wave to the camera? Right
No.
there? No?
All right. Well, Father, we thank you for powerful marriages, God. We thank you for the fruit of those marriages. We thank you for children. We thank you for families, God. We just pray a special blessing over everyone this week, God, that you would see them through the week and get ready for the next. God, we love you, and we love these people out here. Amen.
Amen. We'll see y'all next week.
Oh, I have something.
Go wave.
Wave, say bye.
Bye.
Bye.